What up, Flowmies? It's time for another edition of the ITF Flowcast. This week we talk with Hazen Warlick. He's the business development manager for ABC Window Cleaning Supply. And we have really interesting topics we discuss. We talk a little bit about his progression in the business. He came in not having a window cleaning background, worked in the warehouse, made it to the office, and but he really shares a lot about the philosophy that ABC Window Cleaning has with keeping a real family atmosphere, both in how they work with each other as a company, but also in their dealings with customers. So we get to talk a lot about that. We talk a lot about some of the things that they have that they offer, especially training. So a particular training project that Hazen himself works on, and something that I think would be interesting to a lot of Flowmies. So that's really interesting. We talk a little bit about their growth, how they've gone. They've been in business for about 30 years, and we'll get to see how they've grown as a business. But I think that the interesting part of the conversation today is going to be a lot about customer interaction and customer loyalty and treating customers with respect and just showing that we care about them. And there's a lot of things to learn about how to run your business, how it helps your business remain sustainable when you have that attitude, when the bottom line isn't the money, but it's also about the care and the concern that we have for the people who we are working for and dealing with. So I think you're going to enjoy the conversation. We really appreciate Hazen taking the time to talk with us. And now, without further ado, let's listen on the interview. Hey, Flowmies, it's time for another episode of the ITF Flowcast. This week we have Hazen Warlick. He's the business development manager of ABC Window Cleaning Supply. We're so happy to have you on. How you doing, Hazen?
I'm doing great. Thanks so much for having me, Gabe. It's an honor to be here.
Yeah, good. Well, we're so happy that you made the time. We know you're a busy man and appreciate you taking the time out of your schedule to meet with us. But yeah, we just wanted to get to know you a little better. I mean, most of us window cleaners are familiar with ABC Window Cleaning Supply. We've ordered from you one time or another. So how did you get involved with the company? Have you cleaned windows in the past? Did you have your own company, or did you go into this strictly from the business side?
Nope, I came in strictly from the business side, and it's kind of a really weird story. So I actually went to UNC Charlotte, and I got my bachelor's degree. I was pre-med biology on a dental pathway. So I was going to be a dentist. My grandfather was my best friend, my mentor. He was my hero. He passed away a couple of years ago at 95, but he was a dentist. I wanted to follow in his footsteps and realized pretty quickly once I got into the profession, got into people's mouths, that I didn't want to be a dentist. I wanted to be him. So I got out and I said, all right, well, I have to start paying off my student loans now. So I got onto Craigslist and I found this job for a warehouse position at ABC in Charlotte. Right after they opened. So I went in and I got my interview, I got the job, and they started training me intensely from day one. I mean, pulling, packing, receiving orders, memorizing thousands of product codes. And I couldn't figure out why they were training me so intensely, but it's because every one of our employees, they want everyone to know every facet of the business, to really be able to understand everything about this industry and how to help customers. So the second weekend, I walk into the door, they hand me a T-bar,
as I was going to ask,
and a bucket, and they said, all right, you got to cut your teeth, wash the front windows. So they make every single person learn how to do it. Before you sell high-rise gear, you're hanging from the rafters, making sure you know exactly what you're talking about. I mean, it's not only a safety thing, it's a customer service thing.
Sure.
And you have to know these products. But I worked in the warehouse in Charlotte for about a year, and they just said, all right, well, we're going to transition you into the office, onto the phones, train you on our order software. And about a year and a half into my career with ABC, I moved a couple hours away and I started working remotely for them doing sales. So I started out small, doing Charlotte, Raleigh, the big cities in North Carolina, and branched out into the Southeast, the rest of the East Coast, and farther and farther along. And eventually I became the business development manager I traveled all around the US and Canada, and I really, really like it. It's a good mix of being in my office, doing all the mundane stuff every single day, and then getting out and getting to meet our customers face to face, doing trade shows, conventions. And that's really my passion. I love people. I love dealing with people. And I love working for ABC. Great company. They take care of our customers just as well as they take care of the employees. I have an immense amount of respect for everyone I work for and with. So we're a really close-knit, small family. And yeah.
Nice. That's awesome. Yeah, I really like that. You definitely can tell it's got kind of a small family feel, to it. Of course, I order from a lot of vendors, but I do like to give you guys as much business as I can for sure, mainly because of the customer service, and I feel taken care of, And there's a few other vendors who do that pretty well, pretty good, but I do feel just with ABC, like you said, that family feel. Just in the
Yeah.
communications with us, it's professional, but yet you can tell they're trying. You guys are trying to form a relationship, which I appreciate that because that's how I run my business. When I'm
Right.
when I'm talking with my clients, I'm not just relaying information or telling them we're going to be here and this is how much it's going to cost. I'm trying to form a relationship with them because obviously that's where the loyalty comes, is when you have that. So definitely, I've definitely seen that with ABC in my dealing with them. So now you let me tell you, when you got the job with ABC, did you envision being with them as long as you have?
I'll be completely honest. I did not. I expected to work in that warehouse for 6 months. And I was just like, man, they are really training me, testing me, trying to move me up. And I guess they saw something they liked in me. And 7 years later, I'm still here and I have no plans of going anywhere. It's a fantastic company to work for. And I love my job. I love the industry and I love meeting people just like you. So,
Yeah, I was so sad that I didn't get a chance to meet you at the IWCA convention. I had planned on going, and when they changed dates, it just became too difficult to make that
right.
time. It just happened to be
Yeah.
at a weekend where I already had prior arrangements. I couldn't get out of, and so I was sad that we didn't get a chance to meet. But definitely at the next one, either at the huge or whatever, and we'll definitely get to meet in person. But I'm glad that
Yeah.
we got to do this so we can get to know each other. So when we meet, we're not total strangers. We already know each other a little bit.
Exactly.
So, when you get a chance to get out, how often do you get to go to trade shows and to things like that as a rep of ABC?
Well, pretty much if there's a trade show that ABC wants to exhibit at or attend, I'm there.
You're there. Okay.
It's always me and usually one other person. But we'll be doing a huge convention, IWCA convention. I've gone to ISSA.
Oh, nice.
We do some franchise conventions like Fish and Window Genie.
Hmm.
But before COVID hit, I usually got out, I'd say about twice a month. And I would try to hop around and, if one of our customers needed help with this or that, I would try to accommodate them to my schedule. But yeah, I miss it. And I'm really looking forward to get back on the road
Yeah.
ASAP. I'm trying to get my vaccine and get back out there to be safe and, do what I love again.
Nice, nice. Yeah, I got my I'm all vaxxed up now, so I'm kind of anxious to get back in and start talking to people again in a safe way. But it's definitely yeah. I don't know if we're gonna know how to act around other people. I think about that. I mean, I
Yeah.
have a little bit of practice because obviously when we're in the field and we talk to our customers, we're having a little bit of interaction. But I've so trained myself when I go shopping that I'm in and out. I go get my stuff and I'm out, and it's like with the network, with the conventions and things like that, you're there and you're meant to mingle, you're meant to talk. And I don't know if I have practice doing that anymore. I don't know if I know how to mingle.
Yeah, it had been so long since I'd been to a trade show. I mean, and over the past year, the last trip I took was the IWCA show in
Uh-huh.
2020. And after that, the bottom fell out of everything. And
Right.
I was really excited to be back this year. And I was really happy with the turnout. And
How,
it's
how
what I
many
love.
how many were there, by the way? I kept forgetting to ask the Flowmies who went.
I want to say they had maybe around 160, maybe
Oh, that's not
150
bad.
to
Yeah.
200. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
kind of hard to tell between attendees, exhibitors,
Hmm.
other people that were there. But for what it was and how everything had to be, I thought
Sure.
it was great and really enjoyed it.
Awesome. Awesome. Very cool. And I thought they were really smart in that they put a lot of the stuff online, like on the video. They streamed it because you could pay to take the classes and stuff. But what they did was they opened, like for instance, the speed cleaning, they opened that up to the public. They put that on YouTube. So we shared it like in the ITF, group and other parts of the convention that were not like, proprietary, they allowed others to see. And I thought that was really smart because so many of us couldn't go because of COVID or for other reasons, but we still could feel like we were a little part of it, you know? So I
Yeah,
thought that was really
absolutely.
cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I did a chemical presentation this year and they live streamed it. And I got a lot of really good feedback from people who viewed virtually and they reached out and asked me about certain types of chemicals and how to use them. So I thought that was a great success.
Yeah, it was very smart of them. I thought that was a really good move, and it kind of just kept it alive, you know, instead of because that's always the big worry when you have something like this happen, where it's not exactly what everything's kind of last minute, but it still kept the interest alive instead of it dying out, and then the next convention suffering. I think that they were able to maintain, even those who didn't go, maintain interest in it, and because the previous one, were you at the previous one
Oh yeah, I've been
in
at the
Georgia?
last six. Yes.
Okay, I mean, I think that was the best one that I've ever been to. That was the most liveliest. There was so much interaction. I probably talked to more people during that one than I ever had. So you hate to have that one, and then it goes into one that drags the enthusiasm down. But I think they were able to avoid it. So, if nothing
Yeah,
else, to pique the interest
absolutely.
for the next one. So,
I was really impressed with how Paul Collum and the rest of the IWCA board really got that thing together and made it such a good event. You know, those
yeah.
guys, IWCA has our back and they made it happen. And I was honestly a little bit surprised that they did have it in person, but man, they made it work. And I was just so fortunate to be there.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, now let's talk a little bit about the behind the scenes with a supplier company because like I mentioned before, we started the podcast. We're window cleaners. The majority of people who are going to listen to this podcast are going to be window cleaners. Company owners. They're looking at it from their perspective, but we don't always see it from your perspective. So when you look out at us, what are you looking for? What are you looking at when you're trying to decide how to run your business?
Well, I think when I'm looking at my customers, I really need to understand how they work, what kind of a company they are, and what their specialties are, what they know about and what they don't know about, what they're currently doing right now, and if they have any plans to get into, moving from residential to commercial to possibly high rise to getting into water fed, stuff
Mhm.
like that. So I really like to understand the scope of work for each specific company so I know how to best advise them on, okay, here's this product and this is how much you'll have to spend to get into the next level, and really just kind of help them just hold their hand a little bit to get to that next step if that's where they want to be. We don't try to push anybody into going straight from residential to dropping off of buildings. But if that's what they want to do, and if they're looking to do it the best way, the safest way, with the newest and latest gear, that's what I'm trying to help them do.
Gotcha. So how do you find out that though? I mean, is it purely okay? We've got X number of orders of this product. Obviously, people like it. Let's order more. This stock hasn't gone out in a couple months. Maybe we should stop selling this. Or do you do like any type of marketing research that kind of helps to inform what products you sell on your site?
Yeah, so a lot of it is, what we sell, and we keep very, very close tabs on our inventory, what's selling, what's not, what's had problems. We've had some really cool products on our shelves, new things, and then just for one reason or another, whether they're being damaged in shipping or whether they're just not holding up, we take all of the feedback from our reviews. I love to go out on Facebook, and I have to say, Into the Flow is just so far and beyond different than some of the other Facebook groups. Not to bash any of them, but I just really love the professionalism and how everybody is building each other up and helping. But I've only been on Into the Flow for, I want to say, like 3 or 4 months now. And it's really interesting to see what people are saying and what they're interested in. And I mean, you guys are so fast. I try to give my 2 cents, and by the time I get on there, there's 56 comments, and everybody's answered it in detail with the
Oh,
same knowledge as I had. So that's really
you,
great. Everybody's
you
helping
think
each other.
you think you're slow? I'll approve a post, go in to answer it, and before I finish, someone's already commented and given the answer. I mean, they're on it.
Yeah.
That's what's really cool about it is there's so many very professional, long time experience window cleaners, and they're willing. You don't join Into the Flow unless you're willing to share information, and I think
Right.
that's the important distinction. Whereas most other people, most other groups, and again, like you mentioned, because we don't like to bash other groups, because we draw a lot of support from those groups as well, and we
Sure.
want to support those groups, and I'm a member of all of those, so there's definitely value. But for ITF, we want the people who are there to support others. That's if you're not into supporting others, you're going to get real bored with our group real fast because
Yeah.
it doesn't have the stuff that the other groups do have, and there's a place for that. Some people love that stuff, and
Yeah.
it's fine. They love kind of getting at each other, and doing those things. But it's like we're definitely designed to inform, to educate, and to help. And I think that's kind of cool, because when you joined us, we had just started one of the fundraisers, and we're going to probably be doing another one soon, which we'll talk about in a future episode. But you guys were awesome in that. You're, hey, what can we do? And I was just expecting a couple of little things that you might contribute, and you guys were like, okay, boom, here's 12 packages, take them, do whatever you can. And we get that from a lot of our vendors, and we couldn't do it with all of our vendors. So the fact that you guys are willing to do that and support the mission of ITF was really appreciative, because well, I mean, let's face it. A lot of people will join ITF vendors, and their whole intention is just to spam the group. They just want to join groups so that they can put their commercials out. And we tell them in the beginning, look, you're welcome to join, but we don't want spam. That's not our goal. We will
Right.
allow you to advertise, and we will allow you to sell your products. But if you're just here to spam and you don't ever help anybody with their problems, you're not going to be happy here. And those vendors leave. The ones who stay are the ones who get it, and they want to support. They still get to promote their products. They still get to promote their web page or their sales and stuff. But at the same time, they're also here to help. And they're also here to give
Right.
advice. And
Yeah,
you
it's
guys fit
extremely
right in.
important to care. I mean, you have to care about your customer. You have to care about the industry, and if you don't, like you said, it's pretty apparent, and you can spot them right away. And I'll be honest, I really don't like putting out that real salesy stuff. I mean, I get it all day long. Nobody likes to see that stuff. I mean, sometimes it's helpful, and sometimes it can lead to a sale, but that's not who I am. That's not what we're about. And we just window cleaners in this industry matter, and that's all there really is to it. And we just want to support in any way we can.
Yeah.
So thanks for the opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. You mentioned something earlier. You said that you started at the Charlotte, North Carolina branch. I don't think a lot of us know that there's a branch out there, because we're all used to the Denver one. That's usually the one that we think about. So, has that been there a long time?
Nope. So I actually, like I said, started there right after we opened up, and that was just about 7 years ago. It'll be 7 years in August for me. But a lot of times people will call me and they'll think that I'm in the Denver, Colorado time zone, but no, I'm our North Carolina guy.
Okay.
And I do work remotely. I live in Pinehurst, North Carolina. I just
Okay.
moved back home last week, actually. So yeah, I mean, we have this huge warehouse. We actually are moving into a new location in Charlotte. It's a little bit bigger facility. It's going to give us a little bit more help to be efficient. We're receiving shipments in and getting stuff out, more room on the shelves. And that means we have more inventory and, less wait time for you, no back
That's
orders. So
that's what I'm thinking, because that means that's better for the East Coast guys, because they can get their products faster since you got one on that side.
oh yeah. Oh yeah. That's been a huge help for a lot of the people on the East Coast, especially in the Southeast, where there really aren't a lot of suppliers. The markets in Florida and Texas are just massive, and those guys need products, and it's just like you don't need it in a week, you need it now. So
Mm-hmm.
having that 2 to 3 day shipping to anywhere in the U.S. with the addition of our Charlotte branch really helps a lot of people get what they need and get it fast.
Very cool. Very cool. That's good to know. That's good to know. One of the things you had mentioned as well that ABC really does well in is you guys really care about education as well. You had
Yes.
mentioned about you're selling products, but you don't want to just sell products to anybody. You want to make sure that they use. Now you have a few training programs, right? That ABC sponsors, and I
Yes.
know one in
So
particular you mentioned that you liked.
yes. So basically my creation, I got so much of a calling for people who just needed help with water fed. how to choose the best system and pole, what in the world to get into, DI versus multi-stage, how to maintain it, all that good stuff. And I said, all right, well, I'm going to start, a little document. And it just kept growing and growing and growing. And then I said, all right, well, this business needs help. I went out and helped them. And I said, all right, I'll make a slideshow presentation. And I've grown this over the past 4 years. And it's called Wash and Learn. And it's been a huge success. After COVID, we started doing a lot of them virtually for different conventions, different businesses. And it's been a tremendous help for people because, like you said, we don't just want to sell this gear. We want to set you up for success right out of the box. I mean, every water fed system that we carry, once you get that system, you automatically get an email. This is how, or a video link on YouTube. This is how you set it up. This is how you change your filters, tips and tricks. Our media department does a fantastic job putting out YouTube videos on product reviews, how to use things, side-by-side comparisons, all kinds of stuff. So that's a really, really good resource. But Wash and Learn is pretty much my baby. And I love it just because so many people are so much more successful when they have the right tools and knowledge on how to use those tools and how to maintain them. And how to get their employees to kind of get on the same wavelength they are and understand every facet of it.
Yeah, that's really cool. I wish I would have known that because I had kind of dabbled in waterfed a while ago, but it was mainly because I had a friend who did it, and I wanted to kind of get higher buildings without having to get on the ladder, and my first foray into it, and I still have my original pole. It's super heavy. It's a 30-foot. I don't even know the brand. I mean, it's so worn. It's all the lettering's off. I don't even know what. I just bought it. It was on sale. I bought it. I didn't give any thought to it whatsoever. Got a little dinky system, and I didn't like it. I was terrible. I didn't like the results I got, and I try it. But again, I wasn't trained. I just put it together from the instructions I had. I didn't know any techniques of how to run the brush. I just figured it's water. You brush it, boom, you're done. You rinse it. And I was getting spots, and I was getting drips and lines, and I just, for the life of me, I just could not get it. So I gave it away. I gave it to a friend who was interested, and who he was starting up, and he wanted. So yeah, take it. I'm just sitting here. I'm not using this. It wasn't until my second go around where I actually studied. I watched the YouTube videos. Pro window cleaning was a big help with me when I first, because now I saw people who they actually ran their entire business doing waterfed. I'm like, okay, well, if they can run their entire business, then it's not the product that's the problem. It's me that's the problem,
Right.
And so now I started learning. But had I known something like that, where I would have had a course that came along with my waterfed, I mean, that would have changed everything on that first time, So I think that's a pretty sweet thing. Now you teach that, or how does that work?
Yep. So I teach that, and I've done this all over the US and Canada. Usually when I travel, I try to have one event, and I'll invite everybody in the area out, whether there are customers or not. And, it's really, really nice to see when an owner, an operations manager, and 4 or 5 of their waterfed guys show up, and they'll call me back 6 months later and be like, man, we are really, really pumping out waterfed jobs left and right. We've gotten faster. We're wasting less money because we're using the right system. We know how to take care of it. And I mean, there's just so much to waterfed. I remember when I first started with ABC, and I was trying to figure out every other brand in the world. And there's so much information on YouTube, but there wasn't anything that was a really comprehensive, presentation that just went through everything you need to know. And it also, and some of these people, they know what they're doing, but they can't exactly relate it in the best ways. So True. It's something I'm always working on, always trying to learn the new things to really help people set themselves up for success.
Yeah, no, that's so true. You can be an expert at something and be a terrible teacher, and you're not going to help anybody else learn
Right.
that,
Right.
or even you may teach it well to a certain mindset, but if you're talking to a different person who thinks differently, you may not teach it in the way they need to learn it. And I think with window cleaning, that's especially true, because I know some of my techs, I struggle teaching, others get it right off. I show them, I do this, we train, we fan, they get it and they go. And then others, when I feel like I'm not making headway with them, there's another tech that is a pretty good teacher too, but he's very different. He's got a different mindset than me. And I'll say, you need to spend some time with them because I'm not getting through. And a lot of times that'll work. Just the different way, the different methods of teaching, is important too. So that's pretty cool. So how would a company take advantage of like the in-person train? Do you have to be like in a large area, metropolitan area for you to come down, or does he have to get like a bunch of others to say, yeah, we'll show up to this event?
Not necessarily. Pretty much what I do is I'll pick, I would say, a relatively large city. I mean, I wouldn't go out into the middle of nowhere where there's, one or two window cleaning companies. I want to make it available to as many people as I can. So generally it is a larger area, and I'll go through our customer list and our, area and our order software, and I'll get on Google, I'll get on Facebook and try to find some other companies and just say, hey, we're doing this wash and learn WaterFed education and training, and it's really cheap. The only reason we charge is so that we know how many people will show up,
right?
And they actually will show up. So I think it's like, I want to say it's like maybe $20 or $30 for 2 or 3 people to come.
Oh, Jesus.
So I mean, it's nothing to come. And I mean, I set up coffee, donuts, and what I really like to do is I'll reach out to a church, a Boys and Girls Club of America. I've done hotels, and I'll have somewhere where we can actually clean. So I usually go in. It takes about 2 hours to get through the entire presentation. I bring systems, I bring poles, everything. People can get their hands on this stuff before they want to buy it. It's kind of like trying to buy a car online.
Sure.
You want to test drive that thing, especially if you're going to be spending potentially a few $1,000s to get this thing all up and running. But it's worked out really well because we're giving back and we're doing donation cleans for people in the community, for churches, and it's really cool. I love doing it.
That's awesome. That's a really good business plan. I think you can give back to the community, feel good about it, but also get some training in and sell some products too. So and you can do that. That's awesome. That's really, really cool. So well, first of all, how long has ABC been in existence as a company? Because I remember, I started 20 years ago, and I can remember getting catalogs in the mail. I'd see the little ABC, I'd throw it aside, I'd sometimes I think I maybe ordered just a couple times, but I was just, all small potatoes. I didn't really have the money to spend on equipment. I had my equipment, and I put my energy into maintaining that equipment because I really, couldn't go get too much. But how long has it been? Have you guys been in existence?
So ABC started out in Denver about 30 years ago now. I'm not sure exactly what month they started, but I think this year is either 29 or 30 years. Okay. And Chris and Linda Wallace are the founders and still owners to this day. Josh and Jacob Wallace are their sons. They're our vice presidents. Love working with them. Great friends of mine. But Chris and Linda were actually janitors in Denver, and they started selling some just small janitorial equipment, and they saw a need for a window cleaning supplier in Denver. They had a lot of calling for, we need window cleaning supplies. So they started doing it. And, Chris and Linda are the smartest, hardest working people I've ever worked for by far. And they made it a success. They work incredibly hard, and they still work very hard to this day. There's probably a great chance if you called our 800 number today, Linda would pick up the phone. And she is great. She keeps everybody on their toes. I'll tell you that.
Oh, very cool. So with that, they've been in business for 30 years. I mean, obviously they've grown. What are ABC's plans? Like, are you guys wanting to continue to diversify? Are you wanting to like open up another branch maybe in the Pacific Northwest or the Northeast? Or, I mean, what are your plans for the future for the business?
Sure. So I don't think at this point we have any other plans of opening up another, brick and mortar location. But our goal and our motto is to be the largest, the best, the most supportive window cleaning supplier specifically. So we don't sell pressure washing or soft wash products, but we want to be the absolute best that we possibly can to cater to window cleaners and window cleaning equipment specifically. There are a few products here and there that window cleaners use a lot. We'll carry those things, but we've thought a little bit about getting into pressure washing lately, but it's just something we don't want to get in, halfway. If we're going to do something, we're going to make sure that we do it just as well as every other part of our business. So at this point, we're sticking strictly to window cleaners and window cleaning supplies. But you never know. Check back in 6 months, we might change our minds, and we might, pull out some stops and see what we can do to diversify a little bit more.
Oh, very cool. That's cool. And so with the personality of the company, with the idea of keeping that kind of family feel to it, how do you guys manage the growth? Because I think the danger in any type of, corporation, any type of business where you have the growth is you lose the closeness with the customer. It becomes more automated because that's more efficient. And then you have the lack of the personal touch. So what do you guys do to ensure that? Because like I said, right now, you get that across, even though the communication is probably mainly going to be email. Once in a while, I may direct message, sometimes I'll direct message on Instagram or on Facebook. But generally speaking, I'm not talking on a phone with someone, and yet still you could feel the closeness, that they have. I'm talking to a person and not just I'm not getting just an automatic message saying you received my order and that it should be shipped and so. Do you guys have a strategy to kind of keep that?
Well, basically, I think what our strategy is to really just keep up with the times, keep up with anything that we can do to be better. I mean, I can't even probably count on both hands how many times we've updated our website and added new features. You can see your past order history. You have a live chat option now. But we've invested so much time and energy into efficiency. The faster that we can process your order and ship it out, the faster you can get it. Having better and better relationships with our vendors so that we can get you, more supplies for a better price. But yeah, we're really just trying to make everything as quick and as easy as possible because, especially if someone is just starting out, there's just so much on websites, there's so much to choose from. So we've gone back to the drawing board quite a few times to really make it easy. And we've done all kinds of A/B tests with this version of our site, that version, getting feedback from window cleaners who visit our site for the first time and saying, what did you like? What did you not like? What did you wish that we had that we don't have? So it's really just trying to keep up with the times and make sure that we're not staying complacent and that we're always trying to improve and get better and, make no mistakes, have everything as quick and easy and painless as possible.
How big of a crew do you guys have as far as like answering phones and actually who actually interact with your customers?
We only have a small handful in each branch, but if you call the 800 number, our phone rings in all locations, including on my desk right here. So it could be me answering, it could be someone in Colorado, it could be someone in North Carolina, but we like to have a smaller crew. We'd rather have a few people who are extremely well trained than a whole bunch of people who know, 70% of what they're really doing. So we like to keep it small and keep it, like you said, kind of like a family atmosphere. I mean, it's great. And we have Christmas parties and stuff. Everybody knows everybody extremely well. When you come in to work for ABC, you either fit in right away or for some reason you're just intimidated or whatever. I don't know. We're pretty strict, and we don't mess around at work. I'll tell you that. When we're at work, we're working hard, but when we play hard too. So
that is such a fascinating choice, because typically when you have a company like that, you're going to have people designated to take orders. Someone else, you have different departments. So what's the philosophy behind having everyone have access to taking an order over the phone?
Well, not everyone who works for ABC is going to be able to go pick up the phone. You kind of have to earn your stripes a little bit. Usually we start people out in the warehouse and we say, okay, let's see how you do on Friday at 4:00 when the orders are coming in like crazy and people need their stuff shipped out today. If they can handle that, then, that's great. We're going to keep them on for sure. And hopefully we can move them into phones, but it's kind of difficult to be really good at that. And you have to find really good quality people. And we have been really, really blessed. two rock stars I'll go ahead and mention. We've got Colin out in North Carolina. If you ever place an order with ABC over the phone, you've either talked to him or Maverick out in Denver. Those are our two main guys for phones, for processing internet orders, but we like to have everybody be able to do everything so that you really, really, everyone's extremely useful and knows exactly what they're talking about. Not, oh, well, that's not my expertise. Let me put you on hold and transfer you to someone else. That's not our style. We all want to be on the same playing field and everybody can help in every way they possibly can. Not to say that we don't have, our WaterFed staff that strictly does WaterFed, warehouse staff, media, marketing, all that kind of stuff. But as far as the day-to-day operations go, they pretty much do it all.
I love that. I love that the the moving up is to be able to answer the phones because usually it's the reverse, right? Usually you start on the phones and then you want to move out to doing whatever. You get some other responsibility, office manager, whatever. But you guys have where no, it's a privilege to be able to answer the phones. And I think that's pretty brilliant because what that means is that people are going to be excited to answer, which that carries across to when you're talking to customers. And it does. And it comes across even through email and through texting, like a couple times I've ordered or I've had questions on a product, or maybe I've ordered a product and it wasn't working quite right. And I've talked with some vendors. It always seems like it's a fight to get what I need, and whether it's information or it's a refund or it's a replacement part or whatever. I always feel like, I don't say always, but a lot of times I feel like I have to be my own advocate and I have to that's the mentality I go into that. But with ABC, I've never had that issue. And I remember one time I ordered something and I actually got the wrong part. And I messaged, I said, hey, just so you know, I got this wrong part, and it was like, I mean, you would have thought that I had said that their house is on fire, like, oh, we're so sorry. Oh, we're going to get that out right now. Oh, we're going to put it, they overnighted it to me. I mean, it wasn't even a big deal. I mean, I was like, I just want to let you know I got the wrong part. It wasn't urgent. I wasn't upset. But the response was like, oh no, we didn't do our job. We gotta hurry up and do that. And I was kind of caught off guard a little bit because I felt bad. I didn't mean to, I was just informing, but it was kind of a surprise because I always go into with the attitude of like, hey, I may have to advocate for myself here. I may have to make a few calls, try to talk to the right people. But here with ABC, I think that's kind of cool that we're already talking to the people. We're talking to the people who can make the decisions,
Exactly. And so, if anybody makes a mistake in shipping, everyone in the company knows that day that this person made this mistake. And we treat it like that because it's not always the case where, an incorrect product went out or something was damaged in shipping. What that means for us does not mean the same thing for our customers. Sometimes they need that product that day to finish, to start their job. And it can mean a huge, huge hassle, a huge headache, and a major inconvenience to have one incorrect product. So we do not take any types of mistakes or shipping errors or anything like that lightly. We have tons and tons of systems in place so that we don't make any of those mistakes. We've got notes for specific customers that can't use UPS or FedEx ever, or if they need to have a direct signature required for every single one of their orders. We really, really try to make each and every customer have their setup where it automatically goes in, where it's not, oh, I have to look at a note, remember to do this and follow through. No, it's already set up. Once we put that into our system, you're good to go forever. And every time there is a mistake or a problem or anything, we note that down just so that the next time we talk to the customer, we have all of that information right at hand and we know exactly how to proceed.
Well, that's exactly the feeling I got. I got the feeling like you guys were worried that I had this job that I need this part for tomorrow. And I appreciated that. It wasn't the case at that particular instance, but that instilled confidence in me that if I do order something from you that I know I need for this job, it's going to come, or if it doesn't, that you guys will do everything you can to get it to me. So that was great. I appreciated that.
Yeah, and actually, the way that we're trained is to treat every single order like there is a mistake on it. So when you place an order, say that you've been using 18-inch channels for the entire time you ever purchased from us, and now you're getting a 22, or your rubber didn't match the channel, we always like to call and follow up and say, hey, did you mean to order this? Do you have a channel that will fit it? And a lot of times they'll say, oh, no. So, we'll catch that mistake. But man, there was this one mistake I made when I first started with ABC. I'll never forget it. It was the end of the day. It's like 100 degrees in our North Carolina warehouse. And that's another reason why you have to graduate to the phones and to the air conditioning and sitting down and not running around sweating. But I put the wrong label on the wrong box and flipped them at the last minute. And it was a major inconvenience for this customer. And he let me have it. And,
wow.
it's learn from your mistakes, and I will never, ever forget that. And I never want to have another mistake again. Like I said, we do not take them lightly at all because we care. It's not just, oh, we sold the product, we made our money, we're out. No, that's how you develop trust. And trust is everything. If you can't trust your supplier to get you the supplies that you need, the ones that you said you wanted, and it's even better for us to be able to say, okay, before we ship this out, let's take a look at it and make sure that everything lines up and that they didn't make a mistake, because that does happen. And it feels really good when they say, yeah, I didn't mean to do that. Thank you so much. You saved me there. So,
Yeah, that's so true. And I think that translates to window cleaning as well. An old podcast last year that Kevin Hargis had interviewed me, and we had a big discussion about customer service, and we talked a lot about the importance of caring, and how when we're going to clean the job, sometimes our window cleaners can get into the mindset of the actual physical work is the product, as opposed to the finished result being the product. So if someone walks up and they've cleaned the window and they do the motions and they leave, they've not checked how well, what do the frames look like? What does the floor look like? Did you leave a big old mess there? Or was there spider webs in the corner that you could have got? Or did you leave lines on the side? But if you're not thinking about, if you don't care about what the customer thinks, in your mind, you did the work. You did the motions, you wiped what you did, and you went on to the next one. So you should now be compensated for that. And most times the customer will they will pay you. They're not going to hold the money back, but they'll never call you again because you did not
right.
deliver the product. In their mind, what they were expecting, you gave a sub quality product. But you won't ever understand or think that unless you care. You have to care. Well, what is the impression my work made on the customer? Is this a job that they're going to want to recommend me to their friends that I'm giving them? Or am I just doing the bare minimum to get paid and get off of this job and go to the next one?
Exactly. And that's the difference between a window cleaning supplier or a window cleaning company being able to be successful for 10, 20, 30 years. If you're just going through the motions and making your money and moving on to the next one without that care, you're never going to make it. And that's the difference between, a success and I don't want to say a failure, but, maybe not
Well,
being the best person and company that you can be.
yeah, I think there's a big argument to be made for sustainability, and I think that let's talk again about, like, what are your reasons for doing it? If you're solely into running your business for just making money and that's it, and nothing wrong with that, because we live in a capitalist society, but nothing wrong with that
Right.
as far as if that's the way you want to run your business. But if that is your sole motivation, then you're going to do everything you can to make more of a profit per hour, to be efficient, because you want to make more money. But what that means is that often comes with cutting corners. That comes with not fixing mistakes, because that's work that you're not getting paid for. You don't. You're
Right.
gonna fight if they call and complain and want you to go back and fix something. You're gonna fight them on it, because you're not gonna want to go and you're not getting paid for that drive and taking the time out when you could be working somewhere else. And you just have a totally different mindset than a company that is wanting to make their customers happy. Because if their customers not happy, then the job wasn't done, and now you need to go back to finish the job. And it's just that simple mindset of putting value on customer satisfaction, happiness, but also customer loyalty
Yes,
that changes the dynamic. So when you have loyal customers, well, now those customers are going to continue to grow your customer base as the years go on. But if you have just a money mentality, you're going to have to continually look for new customers all the time, because your customer base is going to continue to dissipate as time goes on, because they'll go to someone else who is going to give them what they're looking for.
exactly. If you don't have that foundation of good work, good products, good customer service, and everything, no matter what you do to try to grow and scale your business, it's going to crumble eventually, whether
Yeah,
it's because of reviews or just word of mouth. People talk. And when
exactly.
people talk about ABC, we want them to be able to say, they helped me out tremendously. I
Yeah.
can trust that when I order my supplies, I'm getting what I want, when I want, every single time.
Yeah, exactly. No, it's true. It does catch up, and I think in this particular time, with the power that customers have by means of reviews, by means of apps like Nextdoor, by means of a number of different ways in which customers can now express their dissatisfaction with a
Yeah.
company. I mean, back when I started, none of that existed. I mean, people could report you to the BBB, but who cares about that? I mean, even back then, the BB was kind of a thing, but it wasn't a huge thing. But they could that was kind of the only source that customers could complain about a business and get and feel like they have some type of recourse. But now they have so much at their disposal that if
Oh,
you're
yeah.
not doing a good job, and everyone's going to get a bad one. Everyone's going to get
Oh,
the customer
sure.
who's ridiculous, who is
Sure.
just super hard to please. But like you said, if you've got like 10 bad reviews, you know,
Yeah.
and
It's hard to
now
overlook that.
exactly.
It's
Now
like,
now you
okay, I'm connecting the dots here.
exactly. And unfortunately, and I know companies who they change their name about every 3 years because of that, because
Wow.
they got to shed those reviews. So that's part of their business model is we're going to come in because they got great marketing, right? They use Facebook, they're going to just go and just splash and dash, make as much money. Once their business hits a certain ceiling, they sell the business, or they dissolve the business and they just start another one, and they just start from scratch every time.
Yeah, and you got to
And
ask yourself, how many times can you do that, and how long is that a sustainable business model? And I'm sure some people have made it work for a decade or more, but I mean, it's so much harder on a business owner to have to do that and to have to deal with so much customer pushback. It's problems every single day. I mean, there's going to be problems, but if you're taking care of those businesses and those customers responsibly, it's just going to help you in the long run. And it's like having a car without oil in it. If you don't have that,
that's a
it's only going to last so long before it blows up.
Yep.
So,
And this particular company I was thinking about, it finally caught up to him. I mean, his health, he couldn't do it anymore, but he had nothing to show for it, right? I mean, generally when you have a business for 20 years or 30 years, and you've got, either you've got retirement or you got someone who's going to take over the business and you're going to stay as a silent partner, or however, there's a number of different ways, because your company is an asset. He didn't have one. He had nothing. He had nothing, nothing that he could, once he realized he could not do that physically anymore. It's like he had to start from scratch on another thing, and I mean, he started another business, and I don't know, I haven't found out where he's at, but to watch that from the sidelines, um, but just to know that that's how some people would run their business is just very discouraging. But at the same time, it's also something we can learn from, and just like what you're saying about making sure that we're building a foundation of customer loyalty, having a customer base that we can rest our business on. Then the new incoming business isn't as urgent. It's still valuable and still something we're going for, but now it's not a sink or swim, right? It's not like our business is
right.
going to go under if we don't get all the new customers that we can gobble up, because of marketing.
Yep. Yeah. And I've personally visited hundreds and hundreds of window cleaners and window cleaning companies. And I have little hallmarks of success. I mean, it's so easy to see a successful company just exude happiness and joy
Mhm.
and care and passion about the industry, about the work, about their employees. I mean, safety is number one, employee appreciation, just pride in your business. I mean, some of the best people I've met are some of the most successful because it just, everything just exudes from
Yeah.
them. And it's so hard not to want to do business with a company like that.
Yeah, exactly. And if you have that caring attitude as a foundation for your business, I think there's things that naturally spring from it that are beneficial. We have a guy who's going to be, he's moving from the Pacific Northwest into Tucson in the fall, and that's our busy season. But they're busy during the summer. So initially, I think he'd
Right.
wanted to come earlier in March, but I was telling him, look, we're going to get to our summer, we slow down. I think if you have work up there, stay up there, because he had a guy he was working for up there that he really liked.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, stay up there. Come, we'll have work in October, and that way you can work all the way through his busy season, and then you can come and help me with my busy season. So, anyways, we're just talking. I hadn't hired him yet, but we were calling. He gave me his number of his boss to call and to do a reference check with him, and we talked. I mean, it was like we were old friends. It was like we totally cut from the same cloth, totally same type of attitude and philosophies towards running a business. And he thanked me and he says, "Thank you so much for suggesting that he stay." He's like, he's one of my best workers. He says, "I would have gladly let him go because if it was in his best interest to go, then I wouldn't want to get in the way. But you convincing him to stay, or I didn't really convince him. He brought it up, and I said that's probably a good idea. But he said, that helps me out so much as a business owner, and I really appreciate, because now I know I have him for me for my busy season during the summer, and then he can go over to you. And I mean, but it was just, you could tell he cared about his employee, he cared about his welfare, and he was willing to let his business be hurt in a way, because if it was in the best interest for his employee. And that's the way I run my business. And
Yeah.
so now that, and so this gentleman's gonna be coming over. Now I know, well, if this guy who we have the same philosophy thinks he's one of his best cleaners, well, I know he's going to do a good job for me. And so
Right.
I'm willing to pay him what he needs to get paid to come down. And now I can have confidence going into my busy season. I'm going to have an extra crew leader, that we can count on.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely. Like you said, one that you can count on, that honesty and transparency of
mhm.
saying, you could have had him come out and everything would have been fine, but he would have been slow. He might not have been working that much. He probably wouldn't have been that happy, but you gained so much trust
Yeah.
from him. And so just that, I love that. That's a great story. It
Yeah.
really explains everything that we've been talking about very simply.
Yeah, exactly. And it just shows that a business is whether it's we're a window cleaner or you're a supply company, that having that care as the foundation is really kind of the source of is going to be the source of your success. And it's like I was telling my wife the other day, and because we're doing more marketing now than we probably ever have, and we're trying to get to the business to a certain spot where I can get off the glass. And to do that, we need a certain amount of crews. And she's like, how do we go so long without really advertising? And I said, it just, the business just grew naturally. I really didn't put much thought into growth early on. But what I did focus my attention on was those qualities as the basis of my company. And that kind of, it seeded the ground and turned the ground, so to speak, of the business so that the fruits could grow. And I don't know that everyone always understands that. I think they see A plus B, right? A, you start a business, B, you get money, and not understand more of the complexities that go in between those 2 points to make sure that
Very well said.
yeah,
Yes. Yeah,
excellent.
somebody actually asked me at this IWCA convention this year. They said, "How do I get my employees to care like you care for your company and ABC?" And I said, "I have so much respect for my company, my fellow employees. I mean, every year on my birthday, they remember my birthday. They send me a birthday card. It's just little things like that. Like, I owe it to them just as much as they owe it to me as an employee and employer relationship. And I don't think you can really teach someone how to care. They either do or they don't. They wake
That's
up in the
true.
morning and they're passionate and they don't hate their job. They don't hate working with the people they work with. So I don't know, I guess you either have it or you don't. I mean, for better or for worse, I'm laying in bed at night before I go to bed and I'm sitting on my phone. Oh, I forgot about this. I got to make this. I'm doing my to-do list. And my wife's like, would you go to bed already? And I'm like, I'm so sorry. And then, and people would say, how do you find that? I'm like, I don't know. I'm not trying to pat myself on the back here, but I care. And it drives me up the wall sometimes because I'm trying to do everything and try to be the best person I can for my company because they deserve it.
Yeah, yeah. I think there's a couple aspects that you kind of hit on right there. One is incentive, right? So that incentive for the employees, so that means compensation generally,
Yes.
but it also means caring. So I've got some workers I've had for years. So a couple of my leads have been. One lead I trained back in 2004. He started his own business and did his own business for a long time, and actually he still has it, but he's not interested in growing it. He's just maintaining the accounts that he has. But he had called me up, after being on his own for like 10 years and just said, "Hey, Gabe, would you mind just giving me like 2 days? I just need 2 days of work. I'll come back to work for you. And, if you can do this, this would help me out a bunch." So yeah, absolutely. Cause he's an awesome cleaner, he's really good. And I trained him. So a lot of his things that he does, he knows how I like to run a company, and
Right.
it's worked out really well, the other guy, he's been with me for a long time, but like what you said, they have that quality of caring and that quality of wanting to, they view the company as not only just this is my job, but it's a reflection of their job to promote the company. They recognize that they are the representatives at that time, and so they treat it as if it is their company. And I wrote an
Yes.
article for the American Window Cleaner magazine a while back, and it was just talking about, are you a window cleaner or an employee? And it was just describing the difference in that. And sometimes it can be learned through incentives, through just seeing that the company cares, because that's one of the things I try to do, is to make sure they know I'm not just looking for an employee. This is an arrangement. I want this job to be as good for you as it is for me, just as beneficial. And if it's not beneficial for you, then I totally understand if you need to go find another job. So trying to find that balance of it helping the business, but at the same time it helps them. But
Very well said.
these guys, I love them because they care, they care about how their job is. They care about how they represent the company. They care about the profitability of the company. And that is hard because most people are takers. Most people show up, they want to get their paycheck, and they will sometimes do the minimum and then get upset when you don't give them a raise.
Yep.
And I try to tell people, I try to convey to them, I'm like, look, window cleaners get raises, and window cleaners get raises fast. If you're just going to be an employee, employees have a ceiling. I'm
Right.
not going to pay you anymore. You hit the ceiling, this is what you're going to get. But if you become a window cleaner, boom, that opens you up to a lot more opening in the business, because now you're more valuable to the business, and
Absolutely.
they don't always get it at first, and the ones who don't really never get it, they leave. But the ones who get it, I mean, they thrive in it. They thrive in that environment, and I really appreciate them.
Yeah, it's always interesting when I visit companies and I say, how long have your employees been with you? And they say, oh, well, Tony's been with us for 25 years, and Jeremy's been with us for 15.
Mm-hmm.
And that's such a good sign that people have stayed around that long.
Yeah.
And it says, it speaks volumes about the companies and how well they're treated, and how much they support them, and that somebody wants to just stick around that long and doing the exact same thing. I
Yeah.
mean, that's really cool. It's commendable, to say the least.
Yeah. And it has to be because it's worth it to them, right? I mean,
Right.
if it's just a run of the mill job that any Joe Schmo can get and keep, and they're going to go somewhere else. And so you got to make it something that is worth it to them, that it values their families, that it gives them a purpose, that it makes them feel like, hey, I'm doing something that's appreciated. Then they're going to want to stay. And that's a hard thing to do. I mean, I have a really good crew right now. I don't think I've had a crew as good as I've, in all these years since I've been hiring. And I am just really trying to do my best to keep them happy and to keep them going. And
Yeah,
it's a hard
that's great.
balance, but like you said, when you find them, you gotta hang on to them, because
Right.
you don't want to lose
Especially
them,
now. I mean,
especially
everybody's
right
looking
now.
for labor. I don't think I've spoken to a customer in the last 3 months that said, you know, we have all this work, but we don't have enough labor to do it. And if they're not happy in one company and across town, your competitor has a job opening and they say, well, I'm going to go try this. I mean, people are hiring at better rates than they have in a long time. I mean, they're taking people on that they might not have taken before. And if you don't make them happy, somebody else will.
Yep, absolutely. That is the truth. And like you said, I don't think we have another topic more talked about there right now than how do you find good employees in
Yeah.
ITF? That is a challenge. So many. I mean, I know a couple guys, a couple people that they're constantly saying, I cannot keep I cannot keep employees, because they know they can go either unemployment, because it's so high right now, or they just don't care. I mean, that's just a lot of, there's that attitude. It used to be where if you weren't working, you felt terrible about yourself, right? You were like, oh, how could I have such a hard time finding a job? And it's like, that's gone now. There's no shame to that. It's like,
Right.
I mean, if you're struggling, you're struggling. There's, you can't help that. But if you're not even looking because you're just content, uh,
Right.
that's just kind of where we're battling that type of attitude now. So it's, when you find the good workers, do what you can to hang on to them. Don't take them for granted.
Yeah. And sometimes it's not even the business's fault that people leave. Sometimes people just, you can be making all the right moves and
Mm-hmm.
finding what you think is the right person. But if they're
Yep.
not happy from the get go, I mean, we've had plenty of people come in and interview, and it's amazing how many people will say, yeah, come in and interview, and we'll have, 1 out of 10 come in that day.
Mm-hmm.
And they'll do great. The one person, and they're supposed to show up for the next day of work, and they're not there on day one, or they leave for lunch on their second week and they never come back, no
Oh
call, no show.
gosh.
And it's so hard to find those people. But once you do, let them know and make sure they know, hey, you did a really good job today. I mean,
Yeah.
I try to tell that just to the people that we work with, like, hey, thank you so much for helping me out today. If nobody's told you you're awesome today, you're awesome. I don't know if that goes for everybody else, but I really, really appreciate just the kind word, the support, and the appreciation of just something small. Like, hey, you did so good with this order today. You did so good on your job. Keep up the good work. You don't have to, slip them $100 bill. Just tell them. If
Yeah.
you have love in your heart, you got to show it. If you have appreciation, you got to show it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I talked with one of my employees, and he had come to work for me after he had been on a big project. It was a solar panel installation project. And so he came to work for me. So on that project, I mean, they were working him like 7 days a week, a long day, 10-hour day. I mean, he was just working. So, obviously the bucks are coming in. I mean, he's used to a
Mm-hmm.
certain amount of money. Project ended. He asked to work for me. And, we're talking about scheduling, and he wanted to work a lot. And I was like, man, look, I don't do that in my company. I'm sorry. You need to spend time with your family, and two, you need to rest. And,
Yeah.
if you want to go kill yourself somewhere else, you can. But if you're going to work for me, I'll give you overtime, and we have work. Don't get me wrong, but you're not working on the weekends, and you're not working past a certain time. And then he got a call from a previous company that he had worked for. And, he wasn't real happy there, but they paid him well, and they offered him more than what I was paying him. And so he says, look, I just want to give you a chance to match what they're saying. And I said, well, I appreciate that. I said, really like having you, but look, I'm paying you the most I can with your particular position. I said, now as you improve and as you get more experience, and you are able to do certain things according to, now I can make you lead, then we can start talking more money. But where you're at right now, I'm paying you the most I can. I said, but I want you to think about what you get here. I said, one, I care about you, and I care about your safety. I care about your family. I care about your well-being. I will never put you in a situation where you feel unsafe, which he had expressed, at the other place he had a few times. And I said, and I'm going to be looking out for you. I will be your advocate in situations. And if you have problems, you can talk to me. We will never have an adversarial relationship here, because we're a team. And in fact, all my shirts say Team GSWC. That's kind of my philosophy of the business. And I said, now, if money is really the issue and you really need this to make this to support your family, totally get it. I totally get it. Feel free to go, And I said, but this is what the business can afford to pay you to make it worth what you offer right now. This is what we can afford. If you are willing to stick it out with us and learn and gain the experience you need, you will get to where you want here. And it will be in a nice environment. Or you can get the money right away, go in a bad environment, and you'll probably be gone in 6 months anyways. So you make the choice, and I'm not going to either way. You decide to go. No, I'm going to still, you're going to still be good in my book. I appreciate you coming and talking to me. As long as you give me 2 weeks notice, we're going to be good, and you can come back anytime, So he thought about it, and then he ended up staying with me, which I appreciated.
Nice. And so much respect for that, Gabe. Yeah. So much. It says a lot about you.
But I think that's where, as employers, we can't just be about, oh, this human being earns me money and he better earn me money or else I'm going to be upset. You have to kind of have that mindset if you want to sustain that. Otherwise, like you had mentioned, it will always be just higher because you're going to be cycling through these guys. And that's hard to sustain. It's frustrating to sustain for sure.
But, I guess that's the difference between living to work and working to live.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And that's a big message in ITF. I mean, we talk about that a lot in the group, but also on the podcast, do you work for the business or does the business work for you? What is it? You have this gift, and most of the people who start their business, it's because I want to have freedom. I want to be able to make my own schedule. I want to be able to do the things I want to do. And then what happens 2 years later? All they're doing is working. All they're doing is working 70 hours, 80 hours a week. And well, you don't have control anymore. Now the business is controlling you, so finding that balance of making sure it's important. But we can definitely say ABC has that attitude, and it definitely comes across in the customer service. So I really appreciate that. Yeah, I really appreciate you taking the time. Anything else you want to share? Any news or events going on with ABC that you can leave with the Flowmies before we close up?
Sure. Yeah. So I don't know how many of you guys do high-rise work, but we actually are planning an event out in Utah. It's going to be the first event of its kind. It's called High-Rise Speed Suspension, and it is the first high-rise window cleaning speed competition. We're going to have some other cool stuff. Yep. It's going to be out at the Petzl America facility in Utah, but it is our event. We're just, that's the location that we have. But it is going to be really, really cool. The IWCA is going to have their board meeting the first day. And then the second day, we're going to have our competition. So we'll have the IWCA standard ground competition. We're going to have the high-rise competition. And we're also going to have a WaterFed competition as well. And then the third day will be an education symposium. We'll have some vendors out there exhibiting, doing all kinds of cool stuff. But like I said, it's the first event of its kind. We're really, really excited. We've gotten tons of positive feedback on this. Tons of people already want to sign up. So we'll be putting out some information on it soon. I can't wait to share it with the Flowmies.
Yeah.
But if you think you're the best high-rise window cleaner in the world, prove it. Come on out and prove it. It's just like if you win the IWCA speed competition, you get the belt. Same thing. We're getting belts made. So, yep.
Very cool. Yeah, we have quite a few high-rise guys in ITF, so that will be awesome. If you have any links, you can post them in the comments of this video when we post it next week. And that way they can get the information. But absolutely, as soon as it gets closer or whatever, you can definitely post that in ITF and promote that. That's totally something that we would approve, and I know a lot of guys would be interested in that. So that's super cool.
Yeah, we're looking forward to it.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Hazen. I really appreciate you taking the time, and just thanks for all the good work that you do. And I look forward to meeting you in person one of these days. Please tell your family thanks, and also ABC for sharing you with us and letting us look behind the scenes a bit.
Thanks so much for having me, Gabe. Absolute honor. Flowmies, keep rocking on.
All right, very good. Thank you, Flowmies, for listening. You guys have a great week. We will talk to you later, and flow on.